I, 35 male, just found out my wife Lisa, 34 female, might be cheating on me with a pizza delivery guy. Yeah, you hear ears and have 3 kids. Sarah, 8, Max, 6, and little Ellie, 4. For the longest time, I had no clue. Lisa always seemed like IDs, did all the housework, and even helped with homework. I thought I had it made. I work as an IT specialist, so I'm always tried to make time for my family. One day I decided to surprise Lisa with a lunch date. I took a half day off. Whoa, as I pulled up, I noticed an unfamiliar car in the driveway. My heart started racing, but I brushed it off. Maybe it was an enning to sneak up on her. But as I got closer to our bedroom, I heard voices and laughter that made my blood run cold. I called out, "Lisa, I'm home," hoping I was wrong. The house went silent. A moment later, Lisa appeared at the top. "Hey honey, you're home early." There was something off about her tone, her posture. "Yeah, thought I'd surprise you. Who's here?" "Oh, just the pizza delivery guy," she said quickly. "He was just leaving." Pizza delivery guy. At this time, I as Al. "Yeah, just had a craving." I didn't push it further then, but the whole situation felt off. Lisa was acting we wanted to believe her, but something gnawed at me. Later that night, as we were getting ready for bed, I couldn't share D, trying to sound casual. She paused, then said, "Oh, that was just Tony's. He's a new delivery guy. Had some trouble." It sounded plausible, but something still didn't sit right with me. I decided to let it go for the moment, but I couldn't as before. Over the next few days, I started noticing other things. Lisa was more distant, spending more time on her PH, even when she was just at home. It wasn't like her. I tried to convince myself that I was just being paranoid, but I checked her phone. She had changed the passcode, something she'd never done before. That was the final straw. FOO, her behavior, looking for any signs that something was wrong. My gut told me there was more to this than just a friendly delivery guy. I decided to take another half day off work, THT, if there was something to catch. The thought of it made me sick to my stomach, but I had to know. I couldn't live tetedly and see if anything unusual was going on. If she was cheating, I'd have to catch her red-handed. I figured mid at work. The day came and I was a bundle of nerves. I left work around noon and drove home. Trying to keep my min, I pulled up to the house and saw that unfamiliar car in the driveway again. My heart pounded in my chest. I parked. D was unlocked, so I slipped inside without making a sound. I could hear Lisa talking to someone in the kitchen. I took eat around the corner. I saw Lisa and the pizza delivery guy, Tony, sitting at the kitchen table. They were just talking lay. They talked about the weather, the kids, and some local gossip. Nothing that screamed affair. After a few minutes, Lisa walked him to the door and watched as he drove away. I stayed hidden until I was sure he was gone. Then I walk in. Her jump. "Who was that?" She looked startled but quickly recovered. "Oh hey, that was Tony again." He got lost on HRC to smile and nodded, pretending to believe her. "Got it. Just thought I'd come home for lunch. Surprise." Lisa smiled. To eat. I watched her carefully as she made sandwiches, looking for any signs of guilt or nervousness. But she seemed weekend. Over the next few days, I kept an eye on Lisa, but everything seemed normal. She was affectionate, attentive to the K-Ed, to feel like maybe I was overreacting. Maybe my paranoia was getting the better of me. One evening I sat down. Sorry if I've been acting weird lately. I just I've been stressed with work and everything. She squeezed my hand and remember, I'm here for you, okay? Her words were reassuring, and I started to think maybe I was imagining things. Eileen and some circumstantial oddities. I decided to let it go for the sake of my sanity and our family. For the next couple of weeks, things were good. I focused my suspicions to the back of my mind. Lisa seemed happier too, and our relationship felt like it was back on track in the back of my mind. A small voice whispering that something still wasn't right. I tried to ignore it, telling myself I'd calm before the storm. So after my failed attempt to catch Lisa doing anything suspicious, life went back to normal. There was nothing going on. Lisa and I settled back into our routine, and for a while things were really good. We spent a lot of time with the kids, enjoying being together. Lisa seemed happy and relaxed, and I felt like maybe we were stronger than ever. My suspect has turned into months, and everything seemed perfect. Lisa and I were back to our usual selves, laughing and joking and loving. I really thought I had just been imagining things. One day I decided to take another half day off work to could have a nice lunch together and maybe spend some time with the kids. I didn't tell her I was coming home early. I wanted it to be a surprise. I pulled up to the house and noticed that the UN race, but I quickly brushed it off. Maybe Tony was lost again, or had become a family friend who visited occasionally. I stepped inside. I knew something was wrong. The house was too quiet, and I could hear faint noises coming from up. Sounds grew louder, unmistakable sounds of people having sex. I reached our bedroom door, which was slightly ajar. There they were, Lisa and Tony, naked and tangled in the sheets, going at it like there was no tomorrow. Lisa screamed like the ground had fallen out from under me. My worst fears were confirmed, and it hit me like a freight train. What is belief? Lisa tried to pull the sheets around herself, stammering. First I can explain. Tony, looking terrified, grabbed himself in his haste to get away. I didn't even care about him at that moment. All my anger was focused on Lisa. You in our bed, in our house. Lisa started to cry, but I didn't feel any sympathy. She tried to come closer, but I backed off. Just sex. Just sex, I repeated, incredulous. You've betrayed me, betrayed our family. How could you do this? She tried out of the room, out of the house, and got into my car. I drove aimlessly for hours, my mind racing, replaying the Senua spot by the lake. I sat there, staring at the water, trying to process everything. My life had just been turned upside when I finally went back home. Lisa was waiting for me, her eyes red and puffy from crying. Please, let's talk about to talk about. You've destroyed everything. That night I slept on the couch, unable to face her. The next morning, going back from this, Lisa had shattered my trust, and there was no way to rebuild it. Over the next few days, Lisa tried and get the image of her and Tony out of my head. I couldn't believe how naive I had been, how easily I had been fooled. After catching Lisa and Tony in our bed, I was devastated. The next few days were a blur. I barely slept, barely ate, and Lisa's tearful apologies only made it worse. I knew I had to get out of that house, so I took the kids and went to VE, but I couldn't stay. I needed space to think and to figure out what to do next. During those days at my brother's, interaction I'd seen between Lisa and Tony, every weird moment that had made me suspicious. The more I thought, it had been going on for a while, right under my nose. I decided to confront Lisa one last time. I needed answers, and E kids were with my brother, and so they wouldn't have to see or hear any of this. When I got there, Lisa was waiting. E took a seat across from me. "We need to talk," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. Lisa nodded, tears already welling in for any of this to happen. I took a deep breath. Tony isn't just a pizza delivery guy, so who is he really? She hesitated, looking down at her hands. "His name is Tony, but he's not a delivery guy," she admitted. "He's a real estate. I'm sorry I lied. A real estate developer." It made sense in a way. He probably had money, charm, and enough free a surge of anger and betrayal all over again. "How long has this been going on?" I asked, struggling to keep my voice. "CAX months," she said quietly. "It started off as just conversations. Then it turned into something more. 6 months?" I rep. "Why? Why him?" She started to cry again. "I don't know, Mike. I was lonely. You were always working and he was there, my anger boiling over. You don't just happen to end up in bed with someone else. You made choices, Lisa. You lied. T didn't feel any sympathy. I'm sorry," she kept saying. "I'm so sorry." I stood up, needing to get away from her. "Sorry doesn't king the kids." She looked up at me, panic in her eyes. "No, please, Mike. Don't do this. We can work it out. I love you." I shook my head. "You don't do this to someone you love. You've destroyed everything we had." There's no going back. I felt a strange mix of relief and sadness. I had my answers, but they didn't bring me any peace. After the confrontati my trust in our family, and there was no way to repair that. Over the next few days, I focused on what needed to be ing. I met with a lawyer. I explained the entire situation, from my initial suspicions to catching Lisa in the act with Tan airfully, took notes, and asked questions to get all the details. "All right, Mike," she said, looking at me with a mix of sympathy and determination. "First things first. We need to gather fair." I handed her my phone, which had pictures of Tony's car in the driveway and some text messages I'd managed. It's not much, but it's something. Janet nodded. "This will help. We'll also need to document everything moving forward activity." She explained the divorce process and what I could expect. Custody of the kids was my primary concern, and infidelity and the potential impact on the children. Next, we discussed the house. I had built it with my own hands, and the thought of losing it made me sick. Janet expulsed since I was the primary breadwinner, and Lisa's actions had led to the dissolution of our marriage. Over the next of all my interactions with Lisa and any notable events, I also made sure to spend as much quality time with the kids their sake. Lisa continued to call and text, begging for a chance to explain and work things out. I ignored her message. I couldn't let her manipulations sway me. One day while I was at my brother's house, Lisa showed up unexpectedly. She pleaded. I stepped outside, closing the door behind me to keep the kids from hearing. "There's nothing to talk," AB said up, "but we can fix this. We can go to counseling. Anything. Please. For the kids." I shook my head, feeling a mix of you decided to cheat, Lisa. "It's too late for us. I'm filing for divorce." Her face crumpled and she sobbed harder. "Please, you don't betray someone you love. You've destroyed our family. Now you have to live with the consequences." I walk like that, but I had to stay strong for myself and the kids. The next few days were a whirlwind of meetings with Janet S. I felt like I was living in a nightmare, but I had to keep pushing forward. My kids needed me to be strong, and I started to feel a strange sense of relief. The end was in sight, and soon I would be able to start rebuilding my life. With one of the hardest things I had to do was explain everything to the kids. I dreaded this moment more than anything her anymore, and it broke my heart to see them so confused and hurt. I sat them down one evening after dinner, completely unaware of the storm that was about to hit their young lives. Lisa had agreed to let me talk to them alone, new air. "Hey guys," I began, trying to keep my voice steady. "There's something important we need to talk about." Sarah, gathering my thoughts. "Mommy and Daddy have been having some problems, and we've decided that we can't stay together anymore." "Max, you love Mommy anymore?" I swallowed hard, fighting back tears. "It's not that simple, buddy." Sometimes grown-up Ellie, too young to fully understand, looked from me to her siblings, sensing their distress. She hugged her stuffed Boo away. "No, sweetheart," I said, my heart breaking. "Mommy will still be around, and so will I. We're just going to live in DI, but why, Daddy? I don't understand." I wanted to protect them from the ugly truth, but I also needed to be honest. Sometimes people make mistakes and now we need to live apart to be happier. Max sniffled, wiping his nose on his sleeve. "But we can still see you much, and nothing will ever change that. You'll still see both of us, just not together." Sarah, always the perceptive one who was at our house. I was taken aback by her insight, but nodded slowly. "Yes, Sarah, Mommy made a mistake with together, okay?" The kids cried, and I held them close, trying to offer as much comfort as I could. It felt like an eternity before they came news. I wished I could take away their pain, but all I could do was be there for them and reassure them that she sat down with us. And together we tried to explain that although things would be different, our love for them but it was necessary. Over the next few days we worked on creating a new routine for the kids. We talked about how, with any questions or fears, I tried to be as present as possible, spending time with them and doing our usual activities to maintain some sense of iron and hurt in their eyes. It broke my heart every time they asked why things had to change, but I knew we had to pee. I continued to meet with Janet and prepare for the divorce proceedings. I focused on being strong for my kids, but I kept moving forward step by step. Once the kids knew about the divorce, life became a whirlwind of legal process. Janet, my lawyer, was a godsend, guiding me through the maze of paperwork and court dates. I wanted to ensure THS pawns. The first step was filing for divorce and requesting full custody of the kids, given Lisa's affair and the instab a strong case. We gathered all the evidence of the affair, including text messages, photos, and testimonies from knee appearances, but I knew they were necessary. Our first hearing was a preliminary session to establish temporary CU, feeling like my entire life was being dissected by strangers. Lisa sat across from me, looking equally miserable but defiant. The judge was a stern-looking woman who didn't see our case, detailing Lisa's affair and its impact on the children. Lisa's lawyer tried to downplay it, arguing that the AD stay with her in the family home. When it was Lisa's turn to speak, she broke down in tears, pleading with the judge Ted that it was a mistake and that she was still a good mother. It was hard to watch, knowing how much pain she had. The judge decided that, for the time being, the kids would stay with me, and Lisa would have visitation rights. She owls sessions to help us navigate this difficult transition. It wasn't a final decision. But it was a step in the right direction. Division of assets. This part was equally grueling. Lisa's lawyer pushed for her to keep the house. Janet countered Tayar outweighed Lisa's. After several contentious sessions, we finally reached a compromise. The house would be sold in the home I had built with my own hands, but I knew it was the best option. Lisa would get a portion of my retirement fund and spousal support for a limited time, while I would keep my saving kids. They were my anchor, the reason I kept pushing forward. We set up a new routine at my brother's place. An IRS helped with homework, and I made sure to spend quality time with each of them. Lisa used her visitation rights to apologizing to them and trying to explain that she still loved them. Even though things were different now, it was hard a relationship with their mother. We needed to put our anger aside and focus on what was best for our kids. As difficult as it was, I agreed to work with Wren's well-being. As the legal battles continued, we gradually moved towards a final settlement. It was a long and lie. I began to see a light at the end of the tunnel. It was a relief to see the end in sight, but also daunting to think about a sense of closure, but also a deep sadness for the life that had been shattered. Lisa and I were officially no longer HI moved into a new apartment, a modest but comfortable place that I hoped would become a safe and loving home and making the space our own. The kids were resilient, but I could see the toll the upheaval had taken on them. I'd try and support as I could. We agreed on a schedule that allowed Lisa to spend time with the kids every other weekend. I decided to take a walk around the neighborhood. I needed some time to clear my head and reflect on everything that hanged in such a short time. I felt a mix of emotions, anger, sadness, relief, and even a glimmer of hope, the pain of Betcha beyond the hurt. I had my kids, my job, and the support of my family and friends. I could rebuild my life. One step I found a message from Lisa on my phone. She wanted to talk to try and make amends. I hesitated, but eventually maintain a civil relationship for the sake of the kids. When we met, Lisa looked tired and worn, a far cry from the CO I can never make up for, she began, her voice trembling. I don't expect forgiveness, but I want to apologize for every you and the kids. I listened, trying to keep my emotions in check. Lisa, it's going to take a long time for me to process EV. I appreciate your apology, but it doesn't change what happened. We need to focus on the kids and what's best for TH, that I'm committed to being a good mother and company parent. I'll do whatever it takes to make this work for the kids. WD, how we could communicate better for the sake of the kids. It wasn't easy, but it was a step in the right direction. OV kids adjusted to the changes, and I focused on creating a stable and loving environment for them. I started seeing at TF the betrayal. It was hard work, but I could feel myself slowly starting to move forward. One day, while we were having dinner, Sarah eyed at her, feeling a surge of love and determination. Yes, sweetheart, we're going to be just fine. We have each of the SES of a brighter future. I reconnected with old friends, took up new hobbies, and focused on being the best father. I didn't have to define my future. Therapy played a crucial role in my healing process. My therapist helped me work through. We talked about everything, from the moment I first suspected Lisa's affair to the day our divorce was finalized. It was a way to move forward. One of the biggest steps I took was reconnecting with old friends. I had isolated myself during tea to friends I hadn't seen in years. It was both scary and rewarding. They welcomed me back with open arms. offering as so decided to take up new hobbies. I joined a local gym and started working out regularly. Not only did it help me star and frustration, I started running in the mornings, enjoying the solitude and the time to clear my head. The kids and I began exploring nights and tried new recipes in the kitchen. These moments became the highlights of my week, reminding me of WORries together. Lisa and I maintained a civil co-parenting relationship. It wasn't always easy, but we both put the kids' events and any issues that arose. While the pain of her betrayal still lingered, I found it in me to be cordial for the SASAS. I found myself sitting on the couch, reflecting on the past year. It had been one of the most challenging times of my life, but I realized how far I had come. The despair and anger defined by what had happened to me, but by how I had chosen to respond. As I sipped my coffee, I received a message earlier at a mutual friend's party. She had gone through her own tough divorce and understood the challenges I was hitting regularly since then. Kate's message was simple. "Hey, are you free this weekend? Want to catch up over dinner?" The idea of dating again was daunting, but I felt a connection with Kate that I hadn't felt in a long time. "Maybe it was you," I replied. "Dinner sounds great." Our dinner date was the first of many. We talked for hours, sharing stories about ND, funny and understanding. She knew the pain of betrayal and the struggle of rebuilding a life. There was no press any in finding solace in shared experiences. As the months went by, our relationship grew stronger. Kate and we introduced our kids to each other gradually, allowing them to form their own bonds. To my relief, they got along with challenges, of course. Navigating a new relationship while dealing with the complexities of co-parenting was no made it work. 1 year after my divorce was finalized, I found myself in a much better place. I had rebuilt my life. Foe had learned to trust and love again, thanks to Kate's unwavering support and understanding. On the anniversary of They Were Adjusting, it was a cordial meeting, filled with polite conversation. As we talked, I realized that I no longer felt the anger and Ike, Lisa said, looking at me with a mixture of regret and gratitude. "I know I can never make up for what I did, but I deserve it." I nodded, offering her a small smile. "Thanks, Lisa. We both made mistakes, but we're doing the best from that meeting." I felt a sense of closure. The past was behind me, and the future was bright. I had learned that life led with love, hope, and new beginnings. To everyone who's followed my story and offered support, thank you. Your words of encouragement and advice can offer some hope to those who are going through their own struggles. Remember, it's not about the fall. It's even in the darkest times, there's always a light at the end of the tunnel.